What's going on, YouTube? Clayky's back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and today is a kind of a really awesome video. It's going to be about my interview I got to do with Hiroki Fujimoto, who is the main global producer of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, a pretty big guy up there, and it was an honor to be able to speak with him. If you guys don't know who he is, I'm going to put his picture up right over here. He's the guy that's always in the rainbow outfit on the official Final Fantasy Brave Exvius page. It was myself and the Living Ichigo, who is another big YouTuber. We got to interview, ask him a couple questions. It was awesome. We got to go in the behind Square Enix, go in this room, speak with him. It was me, Sokun, and Living Ichigo, and I got to ask 11 questions to him. And guys, he is just a great guy. He's nice. He laughs. He hangs out. He was awesome. So the first thing we do is we walk in and sit down. And, you know, I'm a little nervous being around this guy because I've been watching him in videos and I know how important he is to the game. And he goes, "Here, I have something for you." And I was like, "For me?" So he hands me this. And guys, I don't know if you saw this on the official Square Enix page, but himself and the JP producer, the main producer of the JP game, had business cards like this. The JP producer had Laswell, and he has Rain. And I know my green screen's kind of eating it a bit, but it's amazing looking. Look, and it like shines. And look at the back. It has all the story characters on it. It is just amazing. This is something I'm going to hold dear to myself forever. And here on the side, it says Hiroki Fujimoto, global version producer, Square Enix. And it's just really awesome. I'm going to hold this on forever. So that's how the interview started out. And it was, you know, it was a kind of good icebreaker and maybe get back into my element there a little bit and get rid of the fanboy that was in me and be like, all right, this is going to be awesome. Let's do this. So I got to ask 11 questions. I know you guys submitted a lot of questions. I tried to ask as many as I could, but some of them did get chopped and some of them, you know, weren't allowed to be asked. So we're going to get into these questions. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It was an awesome time and I'm glad I can share it with you. So the first question I asked was, will multiplayer ever come to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, perhaps similar to the way it is in Final Fantasy Record Keeper? And the answer I got back was, so we can't give any details at this moment, but multiplayer mode is something that the team has on their mind, and we will hopefully have some good news in the future. And that's pretty much what they told me. So essentially I get from that is that they are working on the multiplayer is what it sounds like, and the team has already had some thoughts in developing it. But the kind of the way the conversation went is that it's not going to be for some time. But maybe that gives us hope that we will get multiplayer, which I think the game really needs to drive us to have a lot more fun together and do more things. So let's move on to question 2. Question 2 was, will Global ever receive the EX point system like the Japanese version of the game had? And prior to this, I had no idea this was announced for the, you know, global anniversary and, you know, that big show they did together earlier, the producers did. So question 2 answer was, this will be included in the big update coming in June, the 22nd, for the global 1-year anniversary. So guys, on the 22nd, if you guys didn't know, I'll make a video all about the announcements. They announced at the global anniversary, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff, and the EX point system is one of them. And it essentially, it works kind of like your personal rewards when you're like doing a raid, where you'll get points depending on how much lapis you buy. You can get things like 4-star tickets. There's even a 5-star guaranteed rainbow ticket in there, amongst other really cool things. But it was really exciting to know that it's coming to us, and it's kind of like a reward system you would get maybe if you were out at like you know, your favorite restaurant or something like that. But they're adding that to the game, and it's awesome. It's coming early, so it's going to pay dividends when I have to, like, you know, sell my house to get Tidus, when it's going to be really hard for me to get him. So he was announced too that we're getting him at the end of the month also. So moving on to question 3. Question 3 was a great one, you know, asked by Nazta, the great mod over on the Reddit. You know, the guy who's always data mining and getting us all the information we need to know about the new patches. He wanted me to ask, will there ever be a way to multiple ticket summonings at once? To do multiple ticket summonings at once, meaning, you know, instead of clicking one summon, maybe we could do like 3 or 4 at a time, or, you know, even up to as many rainbows as you, I mean, not rainbows, it'd be awesome if you got rainbows, but as many tickets as you could at one time. And the answer was really weird here. He didn't give me, at first he didn't answer me. He was talking, you know, with his team. He, you know, took a minute to answer, and then when he finally did answer, he came back and said, for the moment, we don't have any plans for this function, but we do appreciate the feedback. So possibly in the future this could come out and they just weren't thinking about doing it yet. You just never know. But sorry, Nazta, it looks like you're going to have to spend all those tickets you've been saving one at a time. Question number 4 was, will Global ever receive exclusive collaborations? I was asked, you know, to ask this question to them a lot. They were asking for anime, video game collaborations, and if us in the global realm would ever get any ones that JP didn't get. And it was actually a pretty good answer. They said, yes, we are already planning some now. And they made sure to tell me, though, however, it may take a lot of time, as making the new sprites, getting all the work done, and then getting all the behind-the-scenes paperwork for actually being able to use the collaboration and going together. It takes a lot of time, so look forward to it in the future. but it might take a while for them to come to us. But it's pretty exciting to know that we're even going to get more stuff, you know, more stuff different than JP, which goes to confirm that Global is its own game, you know, global exclusive collaboration. So maybe the Chrono Trigger one is actually happening. Who knows? So this next question I asked was really funny because he laughed after I asked that he didn't need a translator. He knew exactly what I was asking, and he was shaking his head like he wanted it to. I asked, will the friend unit cap of 130 friends in the game ever be increased? Because you know me, I want to add all you guys, but I can only go to 130, and then after that, it's the luck of the draw on the Facebook if it actually, you know, adds you. So the answer was, we definitely hear you. And he said, I personally would like to see the list expanded as well. Like himself, he really wanted, he was laughing and smiling. But that is something we have in our minds for future updates. We've been slowly adding new features people have wanted, such as Esper resets and faster summoning times. And then they again said, look for it in the future. It should be something coming out. So that's amazing. You know, we get the Esper resets with the global, you know, the global anniversary, but I didn't know about the faster summoning time. So I'm assuming maybe it's a crystal coming down or some way to make the summons go faster. I didn't even know that was a thing. So we'll have to see what it means by the faster summoning times, or if that's already been implemented and I haven't really noticed how more fast they've been going. But it's awesome to hear that at least, you know, Hiroki really wants it to be used and to be updated to more than 130, because I really need it, and I'm sure he does too. So it was awesome asking him that question. Question number 6. We've noticed that Ida is a little different from the JP counterpart in terms of balancing. Is this something your team is aware of? This question was a little bit weird. I didn't want to come off as being like you guys messed up or there was a mistake. Obviously, I was just asking if they knew and if this was actually a buff or you know, something like, or a mistake. In which case, I know a lot of you guys out there didn't want me to bring it to their attention, but this answer right here just kind of gives, you know, is great for you guys. So now, in my opinion, it's something, well, let's just read the answer. So the answer was, we are constantly making adjustments to JP version units after getting feedback from the JP players of the unit, and use it to make units stronger and make the players, make it so the players can enjoy them more. So essentially, the answer here wasn't specifically for Ida. It was more of, they do make changes to units. Perhaps changes they don't even announce, just to make them stronger and make people enjoy being able to play them and use them more. So I get from this is Ida's just gonna say the way that Ida is. Like there's not gonna be a change. But then again, we never know. Maybe after I said this, blew the whistle on it. But a lot of people were saying that like, Clay, don't do it. But it was already announced all over Reddit. I'm sure a bunch of developers have already seen it. But from this answer, it just seems like they're changing a lot of units coming from JP to Global, making them stronger. One of the bigger things about this is a lot of players think that Global is a lot weaker than JP. But that's not the truth. A lot of our units are actually buffed. A lot of them. The only one that's been nerfed ever in all of this was Noctis, and that's just because it was a simultaneous release, and he needed to be strong enough to compete with the big dogs in JP, and then also be strong enough in Global, and still to this day, Noctis is amazing. So maybe your Idas are safe. I guess that's what it means. All right, question number 7. Will Global ever have the option to have different equipments for their parties? How about an arena team for different equipments? And I asked this in a way, you know, some of you guys out there have asked this too. We don't want to have to be constantly switching out our equipment for the different parties. You know, maybe you want to have double hand in one part, or dual wield, excuse me, on you know, Noctis in one party, and you only have one dual wield in the next party. You would just like to have your you know, I don't know who you would have, your Kane ready to go dual wielding lances or something. But the answer I got didn't really pertain to the different parties. It actually was like this. So we don't know the timing for this yet, but the JP version already has the option of the arena to have different setups and different, you know, equipments from your normal parties. And we want to bring that over to global version as well. So they didn't say they have a time limit on that, but they said they do want to bring it over and it should be coming. But that's in terms of arena. They didn't really give me a solid answer on if the different parties would have different equipment, but probably not in my opinion. As this would be really awesome to have. It's more of a way for them to push you to, you know, it is a gacha game. It is a game where they want to try to limit you, let you play the game that you can, but for convenience sake, and to play the game, you know, more conveniently for you, they want you to spend money, get more TMs, you know, get more equipment, things like that. So I don't think that we'll ever have different equipments in our parties. I could be wrong. They could bring it eventually, but the arena is definitely one you want, and I'm glad they're at least bringing that to us. Question number 8 for me was one that I really wanted to ask, and I saw a lot of you guys wanted to ask. It was, will magic units ever be as effective as physical units? We all know that, like, you know, the chaining Orlandus, Eileen's, all these physical damage dealing units are normally better to take in your team, and mages are kind of like falling off, even though they have amazing skills. And the answer was pretty much what I was thinking. But it was really long-winded, so it's really cool that they elaborated on this so much. They said, so we definitely hear you on that point, and we understand that physical attackers have an advantage and feel more effective or more efficient when added to your party. So they understand that physical, they know the disparity there. We are looking into balancing that, but maybe not in terms of buffing magic users, which was a really big surprise to me, but creating situations to make it more advantageous to use them. So I think this is kind of like, for example, with the Wilhelm, and the, I can't remember the exact event, but where they had the physical, like, debuff shield on. I think that's what they're talking about. They're trying to make it more ways where you can't just go in there with your double Orlandos, even though it still kind of works, or your big physical damage chaining abilities and not have to use mages and they just sit the bench. One of the ways I thought personally they could do this, and it seems like they're adding it, you know, trying to add some things like this in, was to have like, you know, at one point the monster is completely null to physical and can only take magic damage, but it's very weak to magic damage. And then on the off turns, it's null to magic and also weak to physical. And then if you go on and off like that on different turns, alternating turns, or there's a big shield you have to break down with magic before you can get in there with your physical damage dealers. There are ideas like that, and it seems like that's stuff they're working on to make the game a little bit more, you know, diverse, and make the party members and your magic users actually be able to be used. Question number 9 comes to us, and it was, are there any plans to bring leader skills to FFBE? And for the people who don't know what leader skills are, in a lot of gacha games, whoever you set as your leader of your party normally have like a buffing skill. Like, you know, everybody gets 30% more HP, or everybody has 10% more attack, or, you know, in certain cases of the game, it'd be like wind users. So like wind users have more HP, or anything like that, to make building the team a little bit stronger. And when you take a friend unit, they would have that leader skill to also add to your party. For Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, it could be like, let's say Cloud's in the game and his leadership skill is, if you have, you know, Tifa in your party or Final Fantasy 7 members in your party, they get so many stat buffs or things like that, or he works really well with those members. Those are the kind of ideas I was thinking. This is the answer they gave me. So that is definitely something we are considering, but it is hard to just implement a feature like that right away because of the balance of the entire game. So it definitely makes sense, right? If you were to just put leadership skills on things out of nowhere, like the whole game changes because of it. It's an entire game-changing thing, but it does make it more complex and may make it so certain, you know, 6-star units or 5-star base, excuse me, or even 3-star base, you know, going up to 5-star could be used because your party's about to be switched up in order to use our leadership skills. I think it's a great idea. They said, we would need to make sure one leader skill doesn't make a certain party crazy strong. So for example, maybe Cloud with all the Final Fantasy 7 units in the future, if that ever happened, maybe that's too powerful. So they need to make sure they balance that. So it's definitely something they're thinking about. So it's something, if we hear a lot of players want, we would look into it. So that's the answer they gave me. I think it's a very solid answer and very true. So they are aware of the leader skills, and they're just not sure if they want to implement it or if they're going to balance the game out to it. But I think it would be very interesting if they ever brought that feature to our game. So question number 10 is kind of similar to question 1 with the multiplayer, but I wanted to get into more of maybe not us playing together, but somehow being brought together. So I kind of asked a different question here. I said, will there ever be guilds in the game or in-game chat so players can interact? And this is another one of the long answers, which was awesome. I love when they give long answers and kind of explain why things are the way they are. So Hiroki said, so you know Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, excuse me, at its heart is an RPG. So we try to give the traditional experience of an RPG where it's mostly solitary experience with the story, and it's hard to find a good balance and match with the community elements, which I can understand. Like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius has an amazing story, and they try to make it its own Final Fantasy game. So you know how Final Fantasy 14 is an MMO, but the story is very important to it. So they're trying to do that with Final Fantasy Brave Exvius too, but they said, as you know, we have the arena, but that isn't real time. So that's not exactly the multiplayer we know and the connections we know you guys are looking for. This is something we get a lot of feedback on, and we will be thinking of ways to implement these features, but they said this will be a long time in the future. And everything else they said in the future, this one they said a long time. So what I'm going to think of is we're not going to be getting guilds or in-game chat anytime soon. I'm not really sure when it's going to happen. It's cool that they don't use it. I mean, they give an answer for it, at least. That the reason they don't have it in there right now is because they want it to be more of a standalone. You know, you play the game just like their other Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasy 10, 7, and you do the story and you beat the things on your own, and you can take a friend unit with you, but it's more on you experiencing the game by yourself, as an RPG would. So at least the answer was very unique and a pretty cool answer to give us. So, you know, I'm gonna let it go in here. I would really still like guilds or in-game chat in the game, some way to interact with you know, each other, but at least the multiplayer might be coming, so that's something to look forward to. And then our last question, it was question number 11, which I just wanted to know this personally about him. I asked Hiroki, who is your favorite Final Fantasy Brave Exvius unit or character in the game? And he just looked at me. He didn't need a translator for this either. And he goes, Ariana Grande. And then he looked at me. And I was like, yeah, I know who you're talking about. And he just laughed. And then he went into more detail. He says, I got to meet her and work with her and hug her, he said. And that made it really enjoyable for him. It makes him enjoy the unit in the game even more because it was more personal for him, I guess. And he says that I like the unit because she can go to 6-star and has equipment that only she can use. So he likes how unique she is in the game, where she is a free unit. She's a 6-star unit, so she is powerful in that aspect. And her equipment she can only use, so she has unique things with that. Again, he says this makes her a very unique character in the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius world. And then he also said she feels like a very efficient character as well, with her buffing and, you know, magic damage and things like that. So he had a big grin on his face and it made me laugh. I mean, that's the thing about Hiroki Fujimoto, guys. He is not, I mean, probably because you guys have already seen him, he is not in any way or in shape or form like he's just amazing. He's a very kind person. It seems like he loves what he does for sure after meeting with him and talking with him. And then I was getting up and I shook his hands. I shook everybody's hands leaving the room. And he was like, hold on, I have more stuff for you. And I was like, what? And then he starts busting out this swag. So he gave me this Rain t-shirt. So it's Rain. It has, you know, Rain on it. And then he gave me a Lastwell t-shirt. It has Lastwell on it. So there's 2 FFBE t-shirts. He gave me this awesome pin set, which has, you know, each of the story members on there, which is just amazing. Like, do you see Sakura? And then it has their, like, little sprites on there, too. It even has Dark Fina, which is sweet. So this was awesome. Like, I don't know where you're going to be able to get that at. And then he gave me this art book, and I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to open it on my stream. But it's the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the artworks. It's amazing. He said this is the JP version. As you can see the JP font down here, but there will be a global version of this at FanFest that apparently people can pick up. But he gave me this, and he also gave me a Final Fantasy Brave Exvius mug. It was black and has you know, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius on it, but I have it downstairs cleaning right now because I want to use it, so I can't show that on stream. But I was just in shock. I mean, this guy, this producer, this big person, took the time to talk to me, answer our questions. I was super polite, super joyful in answering them, and then gives me a bunch of swag. Like, it's unbelievable. He was just amazing. I got to hang out with him on stream, too. He pulled me a full-in on stream. If you guys haven't checked that out, check out the past broadcasts when I was on the official Square Enix Presents stream. Hiroki Fujimoto came out, pulled a rainbow. It was a full-in. We got hyped. We got so excited, and it was an awesome time. E3 was just a blast, guys, and Final Fantasy Brave Exvius has tons, global version, has tons of good stuff coming out. You guys should be very excited for, and just look forward to all the great stuff coming out. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how you feel about the questions that were asked. And if you want to ask me anything about, you know, my time there at E3 and how it was, and subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video.